This is a German chronograph, which most Swiss brands are afraid of. Hello, welcome to Swiss Watch Gang, or today we should call it German Watch Gang. Today we have a watch from Germany on the channel, which I'm super excited about. Today we're going to cover the Lange Söhne Datograph watch, and it's not just the normal model, it's actually a limited edition of 200 pieces and it belongs to the Lumen family. The Lumen series was first introduced in 2010 with the Zeitwerk, and then the Grand Lange 1 followed and the Grand Lange 1 moon phase. They're beautiful watches and especially distinguished by the sapphire dial on the front side. A bit later in the video you'll find out why this watch is called Lumen, but first of all let me tell you a bit about Lange Söhne. Walter Lange was born in 1924 in Germany, and as soon as he was old enough to think about his career, he immediately knew that he wanted to be a watchmaker, like his father was and also his grandfather. Unfortunately, due to the war in 1945, their building was destroyed, and that's when Lange Söhne brand disappeared. After the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, Walter Lange saw the opportunity to rebuild the brand. In 1992, they filed for their first patent, which was the big date, which you can also see on this model and the other models we reviewed on my channel already, in the Lange 1 and also on the Zeitzone. And in 1994, they finally launched their first 4 watches. It was the Lange 1, the Arcadia, the Saxonia and the Tourbillon pour le Mérite. I'm sure that when the Datograph was introduced in 1999, many high-end Swiss watch brands were jittering in their seats and they were trying to figure out what just happened. If you ask me, the movement of the Datograph is one of the most beautiful movements out there. This Lumen model was introduced in 2018 and it's probably one of the most desirable Datograph you can have. So let me show you why this watch is called Lumen. As you see, many parts of the dial are actually luminous. From the power reserve indicator at 6 o'clock, the tachymeter scale and the minute track on the periphery of the dial, the sub-dials for the running seconds hand and also for the chronograph minute marker, and the date window at 12 o'clock. The hour and the minute hand are also luminous, and you can also see the 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock index. They have a luminous dot at the end. Why they chose a smoked sapphire dial instead of a full dial is very simple. In order to have the date petals luminous as well, you need some sunlight or light coming to the dial to charge them up. So when the date changes, the luminous petal will be already charged. This model features the big date window, which is actually made out of white gold and highly polished, and the date petals are actually above each other like in a sandwich. The upper one, which is seen on the left side of the window, has an empty one and also 1, 2 and 3. And the lower one, which is seen on the right side of the window, has actually numbers from 0 to 9. So on the left side of the case, you can see a pusher. This is actually a quick set for the date. And when I push it, you'll see how the petals change. All the applied indexes on the dial, as well as the hands, are also mirror polished and also in white gold. Through the smoked sapphire dial, you can also see the perlage decoration, which is on the upper part of the movement. As the name suggests, the Datograph has the date window and a chronograph function. In this case, a flyback chronograph. So when we activate the chrono with the pusher at 2 o'clock, you'll see what I mean by the flyback function. So usually on a chronograph, you just basically stop the chronograph here, and then you would restart it like this with the push at 4 o'clock. Nothing special. With a flyback, you actually have the running time. And if you want to start timing a different lap or a different person or a car, you just basically engage the push at 4 o'clock. It resets back to 0 and starts counting again, which is called the flyback function. Between 4 and 5 o'clock, you also have the minute sub-dial for the chronograph, which is actually an instantaneous jump. Both hands on the sub-dials are actually heated blue, which also shows you a level of high-end watchmaking. Setting the time is no rocket science. You just pull out the crown to the first position and you set it to what you want. As you can see, this watch features hacking seconds, meaning the seconds hand stops, so you can set it more precisely. Let's now go to the most impressive feature of this watch, something you've all been waiting for, and me as well, the caseback of this beautiful Datograph. This 454 component movement is just a beast, and personally I can't stop looking at it. What I think would be extremely cool is if Lange Söhne made actually a VR tour of this movement, because the height is incredible. It's actually 8.1 millimeters high, just the movement itself. It features your typical Lange Söhne finishing techniques. Basically, there's nothing you can't find here. The base plate of the movement is actually finished in the perlage decoration. All the bridges above feature the glasuite stripes, which are similar to the Geneva stripes or Côte de Genève, with mirror polished or black polished screws, and also heat blued screws. You can also see gold chatons, which hold the rubies in place and are also screwed in with heat blued screws. and the exposed column wheel here for the chronograph. The column wheel is also mirror polished from all sides. If you think about how small these components are, hand finishing them all is just incredible. The balance cock is hand engraved, also features a swan neck regulator, again mirror polished, and a Breguet overcull, which helps for the accuracy of the balance wheel. I really love the combination of the silver black polished parts and also the German silver. German silver is in fact not actually silver. It's a metal alloy made out of nickel, zinc and copper. And the copper gives it this beautiful honey color. The movement is regulated to 5 positions, which is like a chronometer. And actually the oscillation speed of the balance wheel is 18,000 vibrations per hour, which is 2.5 Hz. And it reminds me of the beating of my pocket watch. I also love open case back and especially column wheel chronographs, because when you engage the pushers and you start and stop the chronograph, you can really see how it all works. And here you have also the flyback function. The watch features a power reserve of 3 days or approximately 60 hours when it's fully wound, and you can track it at 6 o'clock on the dial side. It says up and off, which translates from German to down and up. So when it's in the red zone, you have to wind it. If you want to have the aesthetics of this movement but pay a bit less for it, I would also suggest you check out the 1815 chronograph. It has a similar movement construction, although it's 2 mm thinner. The movement of the 1815 chronograph has 306 components versus this one, which has a baffling 454 components. The Datograph Lumen comes only in a platinum case, which is really heavy. And personally, I'm not a big fan of platinum cases. For me, I would prefer a white gold one or maybe even a steel, just so I can cut down the price a bit. The case, which features different types of finishing, is also very well made. It has a domed bezel, which is mirror polished, then it has a satin finished middle part where the pushers and the crown is, and then we have a curved case back as well. The case back being curved like this is very useful because when you have the watch on the wrist, it doesn't appear that high. The lugs are mirror polished from all sides and are bent, so they increase the variability of the watch. All the pushers are satin finished on the top and mirror polished on the sides. And the crown is mirror polished with the Lange Söhne name on it. Let me now put the watch on the wrist and show how it looks on my 18.1 cm wrist size. It features a platinum tank buckle, which is also mirror polished and features the Lange name on it. And you see from the side, the watch is not even that high if you think about how big the movement is. The height is 13.4 mm, and as I explained to you before, because we have this curved case back, it doesn't appear this high. And actually, you can slide it on the cuff with no problem. The case diameter is 41 mm, and don't shy away from going to the boutique and try it on for yourself if you have a smaller wrist. The price of the Datograph is actually 95,000 euros, which doesn't come cheap, but with this level of finishing and the cool appeal of the Lumen dial, it's I think worth it. What I also think is a good idea, go and compare the Datograph versus the 1815 chronograph, because the appeal of the chronograph movement is pretty much the same from the case back, although you don't have a date window and the power reserve indicator on the front dial, but pricing wise, it's gonna come around 50 to 60,000 euros, which is a significant decrease from the price of the Datograph. Let me know what you think about this watch and if you think there's another chronograph which can defeat this one, visually or mechanically. Also, I'm curious to see in the comment section which Lange Söhne watches would you like to own one day. On the side, as you're used to by now, we have a photo of a watch you'll be reviewing next time on the channel. This time, it's actually a clock. So good luck guessing which one it is. Just subscribe to the channel and like it and you'll see it next week. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis nächste Woche.